Muchachos, buenas tardes. Estamos de nuevo en una nueva entrevista con una gran banda de Noruega llamada Vain, que el año pasado sacó un disco fantástico llamado Solemn. Y aquí estamos con su cerebro, Johnar Håland, quien es la persona que compone toda la música de la banda, así que le vamos a hacer algunas preguntas acerca de la banda. Thank you so much, Johnar, for being with us here at Roll the Radio. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you with us.
Thanks for having me on, encantado, and muchas gracias.
You speak a little Spanish?
Solo un poco.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's start. Vain was formed in 2003. How has your song evolved from early days until now? And what elements have remained constant and which ones have changed the most?
So I think let me start with the second part. What has remained constant? I think we have always tried to combine many different genres or subgenres of metal, but also other styles. Like we have been inspired by, the feelings from blues, the intricacies of jazz, the aggression from black metal, the groove from death metal. We have been inspired by all these different styles, and we have tried to combine them in our music, but to do it in a seamless way. So without having the music turn into a sonic chaos. And I think all the way from the start, even from the first EPs, we did combine a lot of different styles. So that's kind of been what we have always done. And I think how the sound has changed, we have always tried, to refine that. I mean, maybe the songwriting has changed a little bit. I think at the start we had really, really long songs with a lot of riffs. Maybe on the later albums, we have kind of tried to create them more focused, maybe a little bit less riffs, focus on the big important parts of the songs. Maybe the verses, the chorus, like put more emphasis on those. They're still long, there's still a lot of stuff going on, but maybe we have kind of tried to make them more cohesive in a way. And I think we have drifted also a little bit more towards death metal. So we have a little bit less kind of black metal than what we had in the beginning. I think in the beginning we had more kind of black metal. Now it's more death metal.
No, but we can see it in the terms of the years when the albums you are more refined. But I haven't asked you how Vain was formed.
Yes. Yeah, it was formed. So it was basically the story is that I was attending a music school, and I was, every student was required to record a song in the school's recording studio. So I have been a part of different bands in the past, like heavy bands, but more like metalcore and stuff like that. And I had a friend. His name was Andreas, and he was like a really, hardcore metalhead. He listened to black metal and death metal, and I wasn't really into it. But I told him, always as a joke, I've always told him, one day I'm gonna, record a metal song so you can sing on it. And then when this kind of this task came along on my students that we had to record a song. So I decided, okay, let me try to write a metal song. And that's what I did. And then, I recorded it in the studio and I got him to sing on it. And we thought, hey, this, and so I programmed the drums. So our first EP has actually programmed drums.
Okay.
And I recorded all the guitars. He came and sang on the song. Or screamed, and then we thought, hey, this sounds actually quite good. And then we also got Sindre along then because we needed some clean vocals, and we knew that he was a good clean vocal singer. And then when the first song was done, it was called As I Wither, and it was also on our first album actually. And then I thought, hey, this sounds good, and we had friends who listened and others, they really liked it. I wrote 2 more songs, and then we spent the summer kind of finishing off an EP. We sent it around. We got a lot of really good feedback. Back then, you still sent the actual album in the post to labels, etc. We got a lot of great feedback from big labels, etc. And we decided the summer after, okay, let's make another EP. And then we made another EP called Wounds. On the back of that, we got signed, and then we have released 5 albums since then. But we
Yeah,
started.
the Solemn is your 5th album, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But so it started with that project on the school I was attending. I think if it hadn't been for that, maybe the band would never have been a reality.
That's a nice, cool project. It
Yeah,
really
yeah,
has evolved a lot. Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. I know your music is a blend of lot of metal subgenres, and but I would like to know which band or artists have influenced your style the most, and how are those influences are reflected in your music right now?
I think I get this question often. What I would say is, like, in general, I like my favorite bands. They have some kind of originality. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean that they have kind of created a very unique genre or something, but that they have like some kind of unique voice, so that when you listen to the band, you kind of immediately know what band you're listening to. At least I view them in that way. And so when I get this question in interviews, like I say, some of my all-time favorite bands, let's say within the harder part of music, is Opeth. Obviously, I think Michael Okerfeldt is probably the best songwriter in metal ever, in metal history by far. I think Emperor is really good, black metal band. I also like Ishan's albums, but I was inspired a lot by Emperor's last album, which was a little bit more progressive. I like In the Woods a lot. I learned a lot
Nice. Woof. Very
from
nice band. They've
yeah,
been there.
they're from my hometown, and I got to know them.
Yeah.
I got to know about them actually after they quit, but I got to develop. I know all the old members really well, or most of them, and I have been fascinated. It's a special kind of music. It's not like it has this special atmosphere, but it isn't like you hear a riff. Oh, look, listen to this fantastic riff, or it's just something about the atmosphere in this music. It took me a long time to get into their music, to be honest. And then Extol, I think, is a fantastic band from Norway. They are masters of progressive death metal. Really have a lot of really cool riffs. I also always mention a hardcore band. It's not the style we play, but I think Shai Hulud is a hardcore band. I think the songwriter in that band is an absolute genius.
Mhm.
The way he writes these really creative, melodic, catchy, but still intricate riffs. There's nothing like him, I think, in the best songwriter in hardcore ever. And then I could mention like Gorguts, Ulcerate, which I think is heavily inspired by Gorguts. Like, these are all examples of bands. There are others like ISIS, which I think was some of the best. They were early in this post-metal, of those post-metal bands. I think a lot of bands later have just kind of copied what they're doing. So I like those bands that have a unique voice. I'm not necessarily so much a fan of bands that just kind of do something that has already been done, unless then they need to do it extremely well. But a common denominator for bands I like is that they have something a little bit unique. But as I said, it doesn't mean to be like that they have started a new genre. It can be like maybe they have a singer who has a really unique voice, for instance. So these are some bands, some examples. So, but you asked at Solemn, I don't really know. I mean, I think these bands have inspired me throughout the career, but it's not like I didn't listen a lot to Opeth while I wrote music for the last album. Like, they inspired me a lot more earlier in my career, and I still think I learned from that inspiration back then. But for the last album, I don't know. I think I can't say any specific bands that like specifically inspire me for that one. It's more like just my experience as a songwriter. I tried
It's
to kind of
quite. It's really quite unique. It's very difficult to how can I say it, to specify in any genre, any,
Mhm.
it's very very unique. It's a mixture of or thing that, but it's amazing, really, really amazing. Okay, that's really nice. We can see this kind of influences in your music, but it's but it has become your own kind of or music, but it's really nice.